So now let's talk about something that a lot of people ask me about. Certainly it comes up at least several times a month from different potential clients and existing clients, particularly folks who are larger scale investors and developers, and that is, of course, the money. I'm always being asked, particularly when the government and the news release information talking about XYZ amount of billions or millions of dollars is being allocated to housing, affordable housing, ending homelessness. It seems every time we have a new administration here in Los Angeles, they always present their new plan to end homelessness and create all kinds of housing. And obviously the media exaggerates, to say the least, and our phone starts ringing and people start calling saying, Stephen, how do I get my piece of the pie? How do I get some of this funding so I can build apartments? We'll probably do a deep dive course into what that actually looks like, but the truth of the matter is this is not our favored method of investing in and operating the subsidized housing model, because your traditional government funding to actually build, if you're talking about funding from the government to acquire land, to develop land, and then to operate a property, that is module 1, what we talked about, your standard traditional affordable housing developments. Your LIHTC, your low income housing tax credit, your density bonus, your TOC, transit or communities. These are those developments where you're going to get money, typically in the form of a loan at a low interest rate for the 30 or 50 years, and that's the covenant. The exchange is you will only rent those units in that property for the 30 or 50 years to low income. So back at affordable housing. That's the government funding that is typically out there. And again, I'm going to save all the juicy stuff for a deep dive, but this is a very, very, very long road, a very long business model, a lot of red tape. I really speak from the standpoint of our experience in LA County and the city of Los Angeles. We've done a lot of development and acquisitions. Let me say rather a lot of acquisitions for our clients in Arizona. Almost the same process and almost all the same politics. And I'm going to highlight that, the politics involved. This course and what we do on a daily basis is really geared towards people who are investors who want now, because I'm a results now kind of person. I don't want for myself or for my clients to wait 4 years or go through 4 years of red tape to build 40 doors, 50 doors, to then participate in government programs. You can do that now. The affordable, or the subsidized housing rather, the subsidized housing model allows an investor, developer, landlord to participate and reap the rewards of these programs now, today. So that is your traditional funding from the government. So another alternative, and certainly a big question we got throughout the pandemic, and certainly when we held our contract as consultants for the housing authority in Los Angeles, we got a lot of developers inquiring about, hey, I've got land that I want to sell to the city or sell to the state. Hey, I've got a building or a portfolio of properties. This was mostly brought on by a lot of what was happening locally in California with the Project Home Key program, where the state was allocating funding to purchase properties for the provision of affordable housing. So I won't go too deep into that at all, because that was very localized and that was very limited to a time frame that is not really prevalent right now and will certainly look different if it happens again in the future. But the idea of selling your property to the city for some purpose, particularly for affordable housing, quite frankly, it's not a play. It's not right now. It just isn't. Coming out of the pandemic, a lot of those funds that would go towards such a thing, purchasing private property, were already spent on different efforts that were related to problems facing the low-income community during the pandemic. There is also a question that keeps coming up of master leasing. Now, master leasing, in a perfect world, the scenario is I own this piece of real estate, okay? Got that building, that's my building, and I'm gonna hand it over to the government, and the government is going to operate it. And they're just going to give me money. So I'm a landlord for the government, and if there have to be evictions, repairs, problems, the government's handling it. That's the best case scenario. That's just like handing your money over to Wall Street or buying a REIT. Here's some money, send me my check, operation is happening over there. Master leasing in that form truly has not been around, at least in the last 7 years. There is a particular form of it right now that I won't go into in this course, but it's not exactly what everybody is asking about. I know what everybody truly is asking about, which is this arrangement here, where it's like, let me hand over the property to the government, they deal with all the headaches, I get my check, and I'm great. That's not really a thing currently. It used to be. There also used to be a version, not exactly this, but it was a version where the government may allocate, let's say you had a 100-unit building and they may allocate blocks of the building. They want 50 units dedicated specifically to subsidized tenants who are carrying their subsidy. So they would say, let's say the HACLA, Housing Authority City of LA, had 5,000 Section 8 vouchers, and they come to a property owner and say, we'll take 100 doors of your portfolio and dedicate it, meaning they'll create a consistent pipeline of renters, specifically renters who have that voucher, and it's usually there's a problem they're trying to solve, and that's how they decide who those people will be. That again has not happened in a few years because of the allocation of funds elsewhere during the pandemic. That is a thing. We just haven't seen it in a few years, but it is a thing, and certainly as soon as those opportunities become available, our firm lets our clients know that if they have properties that might match that criteria and it would be of a benefit to them, and all the terms, that's another thing you have to worry about, is in a concept of master leasing, or anytime you're just handing over your asset to whether it's the government, nonprofit organization acting as an arm of the government, the terms are the biggest concern for our firm, for our clients, is oftentimes you have to make sure, well, you always have to make sure that the terms are favorable. Oftentimes the terms are far leaning towards the benefit of that entity and the population it's serving, and not necessarily the person who holds the real estate.